how good do I want to be? So that's really what's ahead of us now. If we can understand that, and then we can look at where you're at, we can actually drive towards that performance. So I do the same thing with business leaders, so CEOs or middle management, anybody that really leads a team has to be in charge of a group of people to encourage them to be their best as they can be. And then of course if we broaden it out, it's about the team, it's about the organisation, it's about the whole business, it's about where do you want to be, how do you want to dominate your marketplace, and let's have a crack at that. So that's what I do these days, but as I said, it's very similar to what's going on within that Australian cricket team.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it comes as a huge shock to everyone. I mean, how does such a high-performing team get to the position, where there's such reckless risk-taking as happened, this week?
Well, that's right. Some go down the path of risk and reward. It seems to me it's stupidity and more stupidity. Look, probably the short answer is it doesn't happen overnight. It just doesn't happen in one decision. It just doesn't happen by one person. So when I was coaching, I started off in '99 for about 8 years to 2007, and Steve Moore was the captain, and then Ricky Ponting. And I suppose one of the things that we really concentrated on, apart from obviously being able to play well, and we had some very good players, was to bind that together, if you like. The glue was the baggy green. The baggy green we elevated into greater prominence, I think, than what it had been previously, such that it represented all the values and principles that you as an Australian cricketer should have and should display on a regular basis. Now, we weren't perfect, we didn't do it all the time, that's for sure, but at least it was very clearly understood and symbolised by this thing called the baggy green cap, and so that became very strong in our culture. That was one of those symbols of the team culture, the maturity of the team. But I guess I finished up in 2007, and my assistant coach, who then became coach, Tim Nilsson, he continued that theme on with new captain Michael Clark. But with Tim being sacked in the role, I saw from a distance anyway that whole sort of cultural fabric piece being gradually dismantled and gradually pulled apart. And Darren Lehman, who is now coach, was brought back in to try to save the culture, because Australian cricket was in a pretty poor shape around that 2013 time when Australia went to the Ashes. And what Darren did was actually unify the group again. However, I don't believe necessarily that he was able to, and whether he chose to or not, I don't know, but I was never able to rekindle that whole sort of baggy green ethic. I do think Michael Clark, who was captain at the time, never really quite understood the purpose of it, why it was there, what it meant, how it really impacted upon the way that we all should be within that group. And so finally, I think we see a bit of the manifestation of all those sort of things. And firstly, the Warner behaviour in the beginning of the Test series, some other interesting fracas that were developing through the Test series, and then we moved to that fateful third day lunchtime session of the third Test, where they decided to break the rules and cheat and ball tamper.
Yeah, no, exactly. And so how much accountability at each of the, from the, obviously there's the coaching staff, the leadership staff. I mean, you're obviously working in an organisation, and you would know where there's incredibly competitive individuals, and you almost kind of want to win at all costs in sport and in business as well. I mean, how as a leader do you try and rein in this type of potentially rogue activity?
Well, exactly. It's always potentially rogue, I guess. But one of the things I think that's important in business, and certainly important in sport, and sport's a little bit more cut and dried in this regard, but sport's simply about winning and losing. That's all. In business, yes, you'd like to win all the time, but part of it's about survival as well. So it's almost about drawing, So at least we're not losing. We may not be winning as much as we like, but we're not going down the gurgler, So we can hang in here for a while and then gradually build on that. Whereas sport, win or lose, that's it, So with that, obviously comes, as a leader, you're striving always to find competitive advantage. No different to running any sort of business. You're always trying to find what that competitive advantage is. But Sport is far more visible than business. I mean, nobody's going to come and look at TalentVine and put you on the front page. Well, you'd like to be put on
I'd
the front
love
page.
that. Well,
Yeah.
I'm hoping with
That's
as a
right.
result of this, I will be.
We might be out there. But yes, unlikely that the cameras are going to follow you every day and your every move and examine what's happened, what's good, what's not so good, and then highlight all the controversy. Whereas sport, it's visible every day, you know, and the more successful a team can become, or the more popular it becomes, the more the gaze, public gaze, media gaze wants to know what's going on. Let's get in behind the covers, you know. So going back to your original question, one is that I'll never discourage risk taking, because without risk taking, we're going nowhere.
Yeah.
You know, the business or the sporting team will stagnate.
Yes.
It'll just be, well, what it is today, that's what it's going to be tomorrow and the next day and the next day. So it's important for all of us to have this notion of trying to improve ourselves every day in whatever we do. So that means you've got to get outside of what you're comfortable with and try new things, you know. And
being comfortable that you might fail, and there's nothing wrong with failure, but it's you should punish inaction as opposed to failure.
Yeah. And look, part of my conversation was never around failure. I always said I didn't believe that anybody failed. I believe that they might have made a bad decision and got a result that we didn't like or they didn't like.
Yeah.
But it was important for the individual and then the team collectively. Important to understand we do a number of things well, but at a moment in time, generally, something happens, either poor decision or poor execution of a good decision, or a bit of both.
Yeah.
And so in the end you get the result you don't want, you know. So but people would say, well, that's failure. Well, I understand the concept, but it's a broad term and you don't really get to understand how you operate.
Yeah.
Right. So then back to the risk taker. So that for me is really key. So as an individual that, you know, operates in a small business, part of what I teach or what I talk about is, you know, personal best. You know, so just like an athlete. So today, I don't know, just when you reflect on the day, you might say, geez, that was a really good day. That was a great day. But then that's good. But how did that happen? You know, what did you do? And in a sporting sense, and it's again the same in a business sense, same for a young up-and-coming entrepreneur or persons that exist within. What are the technical skills that I needed to have a really good day today? Yeah. You know, so we're sitting in front of a computer with a, you know, an iPhone and so on.
That's got about 30 seconds left of video.
Right, so we've got to hurry up. So there's technical skills, there's physical skills that go into your day. How many coffees do you need? How many waters do you need? Whatever. Yeah. Mental skills, how well am I tuned into the day? And then tactical skills, how do I bring all the experience and knowledge to play in a certain situation? Yeah, sure.
No, that's great. John, thank you very much for sharing your time and sharing the very valuable insights. And yeah, hopefully as a country and a sports team, we can certainly build from here.
I'm sure we will.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Do we make it? Just went over, did we?